Hello guys, Brony Cameron here. I know it's been a while since FIMFiction readers have actually done anything, or mostly me, because... Ah, well, I'm not gonna get that far. Anyway, before we start on the story I Cry Blood, let's start with the we're doing this new thing where we have pictures of the episode. It's basically where we find the cutest pony pictures out there, and we see if we like it, and if we all agree that it's the cutest. And we'll also do shipping as well. So that's two things. We may add more pictures in the next episode, but for now we're just going to give off these two things. The cutest picture of the day of this episode is... I know this is a bit late for the holidays, but it's whatever. This picture. And who would disagree? That is so darn adorable. I found that on the FIMFiction website itself, and I just couldn't help it. It was so adorable. And my other Brony Tathan, he agreed, so I just put it up there. Now we're moving on to the best shipping of the episode. Now, I'm the only one who got to nominate this one because, well, yeah. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure Brony Tathan would agree if he reads these things, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't. Or listens to them, by the way. This is the best shipping of the day. Of the episode. Fuck, I'm sorry, I keep saying that. This is the best shipping of the episode. Flutters has been nominated shipping of the episode. Mainly because, well, we'll just find out later, actually. I'm not gonna spoil it. Without further ado, let's move on to the description of the story, I Cry Blood. Okay, here's the description. Fluttershy is a quiet pony. Everybody knows that, so they all think that she is perfectly fine. But what happens when ponies realize that you are in pain? What happens when you've been hurt so badly that you start to cry blood? Interesting description. Now, without further ado, we shall move to Chapter 1. I Cry Blood, Chapter 1, Tear-Stained Pillows. Morning, Fluttershy's cottage. In the bed, under big covers of blankets, was the yellow Pegasus. She was sound asleep. The room had light, but she did not wake up from the warm sun. She lied there with tears coming out of her eyes while she slept. Her pillows had big puddles and stains of tears. Fluttershy slowly opened her watery eyes. She slowly leaned up from her pillows and wiped the tears away from her eyes. She slowly turned to her right to face the desk next to her bed. On the desk was a bottle. The bottle said vodka in big letters on the front. Fluttershy grabbed it and looked inside it. It was dry, empty, and out of nowhere, Fluttershy threw the bottle across the room, causing the glass to hit her door and shattered glass everywhere. Tiny bits of glass sprinkled in the air. Fluttershy covered her eyes with her hooves and started sobbing. "You drunk little fucker," Fluttershy said aloud. "You couldn't have resisted that bottle, could you?" Fluttershy moved her hooves away from her eyes and looked at the shattered glass that was scattered in front of the door. "You've made another mess, yet again, Fluttershy." Fluttershy drew the covers off of herself and got out of bed. "Time to clean up again." Fluttershy walked over to the side of her bed and got on all four of her knees. She reached under the bed with her right hoof and pulled out a mini broom and a dustpan. She walked over towards the shattered glass and started to scoop it all up in the dustpan. She swept the floor until she was certain that she picked up all of the glass. She walked out of her bedroom and into the living room so she could get to the kitchen. She walked inside her kitchen and walked up to her trash can that was standing next to her back door. She poured all the glass into the garbage can, and it made a noise as if you were at a New Year's party and you tapped glasses and said cheers. Fluttershy walked out of her kitchen and through the living room and right back into her bedroom. She walked into her bedroom and felt a sharp pain in her left hoof. She yelped and backed away from her bedroom. She looked down on the floor and saw little blood puddles on the floor. It had a trail leading towards her. She lifted up her left hoof and saw a piece of glass stuck inside the hoof. "You little fucker!" Fluttershy bit into the piece of glass and felt sharp pain in her hoof. Tears were slowly streaming out of her eyes. "Okay, Fluttershy. 1, 2, 3, she groaned and quickly pulled the piece of glass out of her hoof. "Fuck! Ow! Fuck! Fuck!" She quickly ran into her kitchen and threw away the shard of bloody glass. She ran into her bedroom and started digging under her bed with her right hoof. "Oh, not again, not again, shit!" She pulled out a small box with a red plus on front. She flipped open the box and pulled out bandage wrapping and some tape. Fluttershy wrapped her hoof while adding pressure to the open cut. Once the bandage was wrapped around her hoof, she used her chin to hold down the end of the wrapping. She picked up the roll of tape and brought it up to her mouth and bit a small piece of tape off of the roll. She quickly lifted her chin and pressed the tape against the end of the bandage. She examined her bandage for a moment to see if the blood would seep through. After a moment or two, Fluttershy noticed that no blood was seeking its way through the bandages. Her face was from worry to sadness. "Oh, Fluttershy, you cut yourself again. You fucking idiot," she said to herself. Fluttershy slowly walked over towards her bed and gazed at it. She slowly hopped onto her bed and covered herself in a big blanket that was big enough for at least 3 adults and 5 children. She laid her head onto her pillow and turned over onto her back. She stared at the ceiling with many thoughts rushing through her mind, such as, "You fucking idiot. You should have double-checked before you left the room." Or, "Why the fuck didn't you check before you walked in the room?" Even, "You still drunk? Because if you didn't have so much last night, you wouldn't have that cut on your hoof." Especially, "I'm a quiet, shy little drunk fucker who deserves nothing more than the least." Tears started to form in her eyes. She closed her eyes to prevent tears from streaming down her cheeks, but it was hopeless. Tears started to stream down her cheeks and onto her pillows. "Oh, Fluttershy, will you ever be fixed?" She turned onto her left side. "Will you ever stop fake smiling? Will you ever feel better? Will your pain ever end?" She slowly opened her eyes to face a picture of her and her friends. "Will they ever see your true feelings?" Fluttershy closed her eyes and imagined the thought of telling them. "They won't understand. They can't comprehend on what I go through." Fluttershy quickly turned to her right and faced away from the picture frame. "They can't ever know." A couple of moments, Fluttershy's spine started to feel comfortable and her eyes were starting to relax, and the tears have ceased. Her face started to look more peaceful than sad. "Go to sleep, Fluttershy. Hopefully a good dream will come to you," Fluttershy thought to herself. Fluttershy's mind started to slow down on thoughts. The thoughts were now becoming unclear and her mind was starting to quiet down and drift. And soon she was asleep. Outside of Fluttershy's bedroom window, Rainbow Dash was hovering next to her window watching her friend. Rainbow saw her throw the bottle against the wall and scream at herself. Rainbow Dash's expression was complete shock. Once Fluttershy walked back into the bedroom with a bloody hoof, Rainbow Dash leaned closer to the window. She saw Fluttershy wrapping herself up with a tourniquet and tape. Fluttershy wrapping herself up with the bandages and tape. Fluttershy stood up and walked over towards her bed. Rainbow Dash quickly ducked under the window so she wouldn't be caught. Rainbow Dash heard Fluttershy saying awful things to herself. Rainbow Dash had tears streaming down her cheeks. She slowly flew up to the window to check on Fluttershy. Fluttershy was in bed and her face showed that she was asleep. Rainbow Dash wiped the tears away from her eyes and glared down at her friend. "Oh, Fluttershy." Rainbow checked the window to see if it was unlocked. "Why didn't you tell me that you were in pain?" Rainbow whispered. The window was unlocked, and Rainbow slowly opened the window and entered Fluttershy's room. Rainbow closed and locked Fluttershy's window. She landed next to Fluttershy's bed and started to gaze at the yellow Pegasus. Rainbow Dash walked around the bed and laid down right next to her. Rainbow pulled the big blanket over her and laid right next to Fluttershy. She slowly put her left hoof around Fluttershy's torso and laid her head onto the pillow next to Fluttershy's head. Rainbow looked down at the pillow that Fluttershy had her head on. The pillow had a big stain and it was damp. "Oh, Fluttershy, Rainbow whispered. You don't deserve this. Rainbow moved closer to Fluttershy and leaned her head against Fluttershy's. Fluttershy whimpered, and Rainbow lifted her left hoof to brush Fluttershy's mane. Fluttershy stopped whimpering. Rainbow stopped brushing Fluttershy's mane, and put her left hoof around Fluttershy's torso again. Rainbow's eyes were getting heavy, and she yawned as quietly as she could. You aren't alone, Rainbow whispered. Rainbow closed her eyes, and soon she was asleep. Moving on to Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Here's Your Shoulder. Evening. Fluttershy's cottage. Rainbow slowly opened her eyes to see the yellow Pegasus still asleep in her dreams, but tears were streaming out of her eyes. Rainbow wiped the tears away from her eyes, and the touch awoken the sleeping Pegasus. Her eyes slowly rose open with every blink she took, as if she was in a trance, and that trance was broken. Fluttershy's eyes awoke to a wall and nothing less. Then she felt a hoof wiping her tears. She turned her head to her left and saw the Scion Pegasus. Oh, my bad. To see the Scion hoof slowly retreating from her vision. She slowly turned to her left and saw Rainbow Dash, and soon realized that she was under her covers. The second that the Scion Pegasus came into vision, Fluttershy sprung out of the bed and gasped. Rainbow Dash, what are you doing here? Fluttershy asked. Rainbow's expression showed worry. Why are you crying? Fluttershy wiped her eyes quickly, hoping that the tears would just vanish, but instead it made it obvious that she was going to lie her way. I wasn't crying. Fluttershy was interrupted by Rainbow Dash. Don't lie to me, Shy. Rainbow crawled over to sit on the edge of the bed where Fluttershy was. Please don't lie to me. I'm sorry, Rainbow Dash. Fluttershy lowered her head towards the floor. She closed her eyes so she could prevent tears from flowing out of her cheeks. I didn't think you'll ever find out. I thought I would keep it to myself for a long time. Fluttershy, I didn't know you drink. And why do you call yourself such harsh names? Rainbow lifted Fluttershy's head to try and make eye contact, but the yellow Pegasus kept her eyes shut. Please look at me and tell me everything. Fluttershy opened her eyes to see her Scion friend. I deserve this, Rainbow. I'm useless to this world. Fluttershy turned her head to her left so she could avoid eye contact. I deserve this. Fluttershy, what made you think that you deserved this shit? Who did this to you? I don't want to. Fluttershy was interrupted again. You have to talk. Are you wanting to kill yourself? The yellow Pegasus couldn't hold her tears anymore. She started to sob quietly. She thought if she sobbed quietly, Rainbow wouldn't have noticed. Yes. Rainbow noticed the sobs that Fluttershy was making. Fluttershy, why? I make so many mistakes, and so many mistakes. I hold every pony back from achieving victory. I get beaten and shoved on and spit on. Fluttershy moved Rainbow's hooves away from her head. And nobody notices or even cares about me. Fluttershy, why would you think no pony cares about you? I care about you. No pony ever noticed, and I try to make myself happy. But it doesn't work, Rainbow Dash. The pain always comes back and haunts me every night before I sleep, and every morning when I wake up. Fluttershy covered her face with her hooves. She was crying so much that the tears went through her bandage, and blood-mixed tears were dripping off of her bandages. Rainbow grabbed Fluttershy's wounded hoof and examined it. What I saw wasn't your fault, Fluttershy. You watched me this morning? Yes, Fluttershy. The glass wasn't your fault. You didn't know that the piece of glass was lying right there in the doorway. You didn't predict that you were going to get cut. It's not your fault, Shy. But I should have double-checked before leaving, and I should have... Fluttershy was interrupted again. It's not your fault. Fluttershy looked up at Rainbow, and they made eye contact. Why didn't you come to us earlier? I was too afraid to get laughed at. Come here. Rainbow pulled Fluttershy's head into her right shoulder. You need this, I can tell. Fluttershy began to sob into Rainbow's chest. and the tears were streaming all the way down her cheeks and onto Rainbow's shoulder. Rainbow laid her head on Fluttershy's head and slowly started to brush Fluttershy's mane with her left hoof. Fluttershy wrapped her forearms around Rainbow's back. Rainbow wrapped her right forearm around Fluttershy's back and pulled her in closer, until she was literally on her knees. Fluttershy was still crying into Rainbow's shoulders. After about 10 minutes of non-stop crying, Fluttershy's tears have finally ceased, but Rainbow was still holding Fluttershy. Rainbow looked down at Fluttershy and saw that her eyes were closed. Fluttershy was awake, but her eyes were really dry after all the crying. Rainbow started to pet Fluttershy's head to see if she was asleep. Fluttershy opened her eyes to show that she was awake. "I'm awake," Fluttershy said quietly. "Just checking." "Oh, Fluttershy, you must be in deep pain," Rainbow said. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything." "But Fluttershy was interrupted. "Hush now. I just want you to know that I'm here for you. And so are the others. We're all here for you, Shy." "I know, but the others, how will they react? What will they say? I don't have all the answers, Shy. We just have to find out ourselves." "That's what I'm afraid of." "It's late, Shy. Look outside." Fluttershy turned her head to the left and saw that it was night outside. "Oh my. You should get some rest." "I'll be here so Rainbow was interrupted. "Please don't go. Would you sleep with me tonight?" "Alright. I will. Thank you." Rainbow let go of Fluttershy. Fluttershy hopped onto her bed and lay down under the covers. Rainbow walked around the bed so she could lay down on the other side of Fluttershy. She lay down under the blankets. Fluttershy laid her head against the pillows and closed her eyes. Rainbow looked over at Fluttershy and saw how fast she fell asleep. "Oh, Shy." Rainbow closed her eyes and felt her mind slowly drifting away into the night. "We're all here for you." And soon she was asleep. Moving on to Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Shy. Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash were walking down the dirt road towards Sugar Cube Corner, where they'll meet every pony else and discuss about Fluttershy's condition. They reached up at the entrance and came to a halt. Fluttershy looked at Rainbow Dash and smiled. "What?" Rainbow asked. "I want to say thank you," Fluttershy replied. "For what?" "For listening to me. For helping me do this. Like I said, Shy, I'm here for you. Are you ready?" "Yes." Fluttershy inhaled a deep breath and exhaled it all out. "Ready." Rainbow Dash opened the door and every pony eyed Fluttershy. Fluttershy walked into the shop and walked over toward the table. Every pony sat down next to her and paid full attention towards her. "So, why were we called here today, Fluttershy?" Twilight asked. "Is something wrong, Sugar Cube?" Applejack asked. "I have something to say," Fluttershy replied. Every pony leaned in closer towards her. I'm suicidal." Fluttershy gazed at the table. Pinkie Pie started giggling, and Fluttershy perked her ears up. "That's it?" Pinkie asked between giggles. Yes," Fluttershy replied. "Why the fuck would you think that we cared, Fluttershy?" Rarity asked. "Yeah, no pony cares," Twilight started laughing. "But I just shut up. You're killing me, you drunk." Pinkie laughed. "What did you call me?" Fluttershy's eyes started to form tears. "Oh, what? You think we don't know?" Rarity giggled. "You are a pathetic little drunk fucker, Fluttershy," Twilight said. She levitated a cup of cider and poured it on Fluttershy. Fluttershy shuddered at the cold liquid being poured on her. How did you... Why are you... Fluttershy was interrupted. "Oh, quit it, you little whore." Applejack slapped Fluttershy on the flank. Fluttershy gasped and looked at Applejack. "What?" Fluttershy's ears dropped. "You heard me. I know that you're flirting with Rainbow Dash, you dirty little slut." Applejack laughed. "No, I... Fluttershy stuttered. "Hey, everybody, who wants to see a real slut?" Twilight yelled out the door. "No, Twilight, don't!" Fluttershy cried out. Soon a bunch of stallions walked in the shop and started to join in on the laughter. Tears started to stream down Fluttershy's cheek. "Look, she's a freak!" Pinkie exclaimed while pointing at Fluttershy. Fluttershy wiped a tear off of her face with her right hoof and looked down at her hoof. There was a blood stain, and Fluttershy gasped at the sight. Twilight levitated a mirror towards Fluttershy. Fluttershy saw blood streaming out of her eyes. "What's happening to me?" Fluttershy yelled. A stallion slapped Fluttershy in the flank. Fluttershy yelped. Don't act like you didn't like that," the stallion said. Another stallion joined in. "Stop it! Please stop!" Fluttershy felt hooves violating her body by punches, slaps, kicks, and even licks by the stallions and her friends. Fluttershy shoved her way through the crowd and started running down the dirt road. Rocks were being chucked at Fluttershy, followed by the sound of laughter. A few rocks hit Fluttershy on the back and sometimes the flank of her cutie mark. Fluttershy saw the exit of Ponyville, and Rainbow Dash was standing right at the exit. Her back was facing Fluttershy. "Rainbow, where did you went?" Fluttershy cried. A rock hit Fluttershy in the back left hind leg while she was running, and she tripped right in front of the exit. Her face went straight into the dirt. Fluttershy yelped, and then was silence as the ground met her face. Fluttershy groaned while she pulled herself back up and saw blood mixed with dirt. Fluttershy looked up at Rainbow Dash with more blood tears streaming down her face. "Rainbow Dash, why is this happening to me?" Fluttershy sobbed. Rainbow still had her back to her. "Rainbow Dash!" Rainbow Dash turned around and looked down at Fluttershy's eyes. "Oh, my bad." Rainbow Dash turned around and looked down at Fluttershy. Rainbow's eyes were all white with no pupils. Fear started creeping its way into Fluttershy's mind. "Because it's not." "What?" Fluttershy looked further down the exit and saw Princess Luna walking through the Everfree Forest. Luna stopped and stared at Fluttershy. It's time to wake up." Rainbow put her face in Fluttershy's and started yelling the same thing over and over. "Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!" Soon the words started fading, and everything started going pitch black. Fluttershy opened her eyes and took a big gasp. Rainbow perked her head up and looked over at Fluttershy. "Are you okay?" Rainbow asked. Fluttershy looked over at Rainbow Dash. She could barely see Rainbow, but she could tell that Dash was there. Just a bad dream." Fluttershy leaned back into her pillow. "You ready for tomorrow?" Yeah, I'm ready. You know I'm here for you, right?" Yes, of course." "Good. Now go back to sleep. We got a big day tomorrow." Okay. Rainbow? Would you mind if I cuddle with you? If you want. Thank you." Fluttershy moved onto her left side and laid her right forearm over Rainbow's stomach. "Good night." "Good night." Rainbow yawned. Fluttershy closed her eyes and almost immediately felt her mind drifting away, and soon she was asleep. Rainbow Dash wasn't fully asleep yet, so she grabbed Fluttershy's hoof that was wrapped around her stomach. She didn't move it or play with it. She simply laid her hoof on Fluttershy's hoof and enjoyed the feeling. "After you confess, I'll confess, Shy." Rainbow Dash slowly closed her mind. Joy started to fill her heart while her mind was drifting away. Rainbow made an image of Fluttershy smiling, and she fell asleep on that thought. The night fell in silent, and both mares were asleep. Okay, next up, Chapter 4. Chapter 4, Run Away. The night was still young in Fluttershy's cottage. Rainbow was still asleep, and Fluttershy had just awoken. Fluttershy looked at the sleeping Pegasus, and thoughts started rushing through her mind. What if it wasn't a nightmare? What if it does happen? Fluttershy thought. What if they make fun of me? Call me a slut? Or a whore? Or worse, a freak? Fluttershy moved her forearm away from Rainbow. What if Rainbow left me alone? Fluttershy slowly pushed herself away from Rainbow and off the bed. I can't do this. Fluttershy looked out the window behind her bed and saw the moon high in the sky. I can't face them. Fluttershy opened the window and was about to fly out, but then she looked at Rainbow Dash in the moonlight and thought to herself, I can't leave her clueless. Fluttershy backed away from the window and walked over towards her desk. She pulled out a scroll, quill, and a bottle of black ink. She picked up the quill with her mouth and dipped it into the ink. She used her 2 hooves to unfold the scroll. She began to write in the scroll. When she was done writing, Fluttershy put the quill back in the desk and looked over at the scroll. She couldn't see it that well, but she could still read it. She began to read it back in her head. I'm sorry, Rainbow, but I can't face them. I can't face the pain that I am in, so that is why I'm leaving. Don't try searching for me, because all you'll find is broken hope. Goodbye. Fluttershy used her 2 hooves to roll up the scroll. She placed the scroll on the bed right next to Rainbow Dash. Fluttershy walked over towards the end of her bed and picked up a saddlebag. She walked out of her room and down the hallway. Very quick moments later, she entered her kitchen. She walked over towards the kitchen counter and saw a knife. She picked up the knife with her hoof and placed it in her saddlebag. She walked upstairs and back into her bedroom. She stood right in front of her window and extended her wings. She leapt out the window and started to flap her wings quickly. She slowly landed herself to the ground and started running towards the Everfree Forest. She ran like as if the royal guards were after her, and she stole the princess's crown. Adrenaline filled her heart, and she has the need to run. She just ran and ran until she tripped on a rock and went head first into a tree. The next morning, Fluttershy's cottage. Rainbow heard birds chirping and felt the warm sun gazing onto her face. Rainbow placed her forearm on her stomach and noticed that something was wrong. The forearm that held her last night is gone. She turned on her right side and saw a scroll. Rainbow looked past the scroll and saw the open window. Rainbow jumped off the bed and went to the open window. She stuck her head outside and saw hoof prints that led to the Everfree Forest. Rainbow pulled her head back into the bedroom and gazed at the scroll. She picked up the scroll with her mouth and unrolled it with her hooves. She began to read the words out loud. I'm sorry, Rainbow, but I can't face them. I can't face the pain that I am in, so that is why I'm leaving. Don't try searching for me, because all you'll find is broken hope. Goodbye. Rainbow reread the scroll and gasped. She's going to kill herself! Rainbow jumped out the window and quickly fled towards Twilight's library. When she was at Twilight's library, she began to pound on the door. Twilight's library. Morning. Spike was on a stack of 6 books and a ladder. He used his finger and started scanning the books. Twilight was at her desk with an open book levitating in front of her. The book was surrounded by the purple aura that was coming from Twilight's horn. What is the book called? Spike asked. It's called The Horrible Tales of Equestria. It should be up there. Twilight replied. Isn't it a book about made-up creatures and such? Yes, and I'm making a report to why ponies are into these kind of books. Well, why wouldn't they be? They're awesome and stupid. There's no such thing as a headless horse, and if there was, how would it be able to see where it's going? You can't think on it, because if you do, then it's not a horror story. Yeah, right. Why wouldn't you think twice about a headless horse? Why do you have to study everything that pops in your mind? I do not study everything that pops up in my mind. I study things that dwell in my mind. Bullshit. Remember what your last study was about? It was about how the first book was made. I recall. Have you found it yet? Yes. Whoa! Twilight used her magic to pull the book out of Spike's hand, causing Spike to fall and the ladder collapsing on him. Without noticing that Spike fell, Twilight opened the book and began reading. You know you could have avoided that, Spike groaned. Uh-huh. Do I get an apology? Uh-huh. Alright then. There was silence in the room for a still moment, and Spike started tapping the floor with his right foot. Well? I'm waiting, Spike said impatiently. Uh-huh. Are you even paying attention? Okay. I said. Spike was interrupted by pounding at the door, causing Twilight to jump and drop her books. I'll get it, Spike groaned. No, I'll get it. You got some cleaning to do. Spike looked at the books on the ground and the ladder laying on top of it all. Spike moaned and walked over towards the mess. The pounding got louder and louder. I'm coming, Twilight replied. She opened the door and saw Rainbow standing outside with a worried expression on her face. Hey, Rainbow Dash. Did everything okay at Fluttershy's? Twilight asked. Twilight, we gotta go. Fluttershy ran away, Rainbow quickly replied. What do you mean? No time to explain. We'll have to get the others. On it. Spike, watch the library while I'm gone. You got it, Twilight, Spike yelled. Twilight stepped outside and closed her door. I'll get Rarity and Pinkie Pie. You get Applejack, Twilight commanded. On it. In seconds, Rainbow was gone and out of sight. Twilight started galloping her way towards Sugar Cube Corner. Thoughts were rushing through her mind. Why would Fluttershy run away? Why would she not tell everybody that she was leaving? Twilight shook her head and put her mind back together. No. Stay focused. Rainbow will explain everything once every pony is together, and then we'll find Fluttershy and ask her why. Moving on to the final chapter. Chapter 5. Chapter 5. Face your pain, Shy. Ponyville entrance. Evening. The sun was high in the sky and barely any clouds were out. A nice day to relax, right? It would be, but not for Fluttershy's friends. Dash, Twilight Sparkle, Pinkie Pie, and Applejack and Rarity are at the Ponyville entrance. 4 confused mares surrounding the Scion Pegasus that is pacing and mumbling under her breath. Why would she do this? Why would she do this? Why, Shy? Rainbow Dash said aloud for every pony to get even more confused. Before she could make a perfect line of her pacing, Twilight stepped in front of Rainbow Dash, stopping her in place. What did Fluttershy do? Twilight asked. You gotta talk to us, Rainbow, or else we'll get nowhere. Rainbow Dash took in a deep breath into her nose, letting the cool wind go through her lungs, and she blew it all out of her mouth. Fluttershy ran away from her cottage. All 4 mares made a loud gasp from each of their mouths. Twilight was the first one to speak. Why would she run away? I don't know. Tears started to sting her eyes, but she refused to cry in front of her friends. But what I do know is that she's going to kill herself. Rainbow Dash was interrupted by gasps coming from the mares. And we have to stop her, because we are her friends. All 4 mares nodded. Alright then, let's go. Wait! A distant voice called out. Every pony turned their attention to the call. It was Spike. He was running at full speed to the 5 ponies. He stopped about 4 feet away and was begging for air. After taking several deep breaths, he held out a scroll with his right hand. I have a letter for Twilight, Spike said. Not now, Spike. We have to find Fluttershy, Twilight said. Spike lifted the scroll higher in the air. But it's about Fluttershy. What? Twilight's horn glowed a purple aura, and the scroll lifted out of Spike's hand and over to Twilight. Levitating in front of Twilight, she cleared her throat and began to speak out loud. Dear Twilight, I found one of your friends, the one that you call Fluttershy. I found her in the middle of the Everfree Forest during one of my walks through the night. I found her lying next to a tree while blood was spilling out of her face. Don't worry, she's okay. She's in our palace under great care of our medical staff. She's fine, but she's going to stay for a while, until she is fully healed. I'll send her back home with Flash Sentry as an escort. Your Princess of the Night, Luna. Twilight finished reading the letter aloud. Did you hear that? She's fine. All we have to do is wait for her to get home. Rainbow Dash started rubbing her left forehoof with her right. I don't know, Twi. I think we should see her. You know, just in case, Rainbow Dash said. Knowing Princess Luna, I know she'll fix everything. Twilight smiled, reassuring Dash that Fluttershy would be fine. Then, what do we do? Like I said. Twilight turned to the direction where Fluttershy's cottage is, and started walking in the direction. The Pegasus flew to Twilight to catch up to her. We wait, Twilight finished. Counterlot, Royal Castle. How is her condition, Nurse Redheart? Luna asked, hovering over Fluttershy's bed. Not flying, just leaning over the bedside. She's fine. Luckily, she didn't break her nose from impact, but she is out cold. It's undetermined when she'll wake up, so make sure to have some pony keep an eye on her until she wakes up. Then give her at least an hour to stretch her legs, get water, something to eat, or basically until she stops feeling dizzy. Nurse Redheart replied. Thank you, Nurse. You may return to Ponyville. Luna's horn lit up with a blue aura, and the doors behind her opened. Nurse Redheart bowed and started walking towards the door. It was an honor working in the castle, Your Majesty. Luna nodded, and Nurse Redheart closed the doors. Luna took a few steps away from Fluttershy. She sat down on her haunches and closed her eyes. Her horn started to glow her blue aurora. Ponyville, Sugar Cube Corner. Luna was walking down the dirt path in the streets of Ponyville. Celestia's sun was in the sky. Children were running while laughing their heads off. Mares and stallions of all races roamed the streets. It was a very busy day here in Ponyville. Luna saw Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy entering Sugar Cube Corner. Rainbow Dash walked out of the bakery store and started running towards the entrance of Ponyville. Soon Stallion started to walk inside the little store. Noises of laughter mixed with crying started to grow from inside. Fluttershy suddenly burst through the doors with blood streaming down her cheeks. Luna cut Fluttershy with her magic and lifted her off the ground. Fluttershy was in place with her eyes shut and the blood was still streaming. Luna sat down on her haunches and waited patiently for Fluttershy to realize that she hasn't moved. Fluttershy opened her eyes, realizing that she was levitating. Fluttershy, is it? Luna asked. Princess Luna? Oh, yes, Fluttershy replied with her adorable, quiet voice. Do you know where we are? Fluttershy looked around her surroundings, then back at Luna. Ponyville? Luna sighed. Wrong. She slowly lowered Fluttershy to the ground. We are not in Ponyville, Fluttershy. We are in your dream. Fluttershy wiped her eyes and stared at her hooves that were stained with blood. A dream? Yes. Nothing more than a vivid imagination. It's all in your head. But it feels so real. Fluttershy looked up at Luna. Give it a second. Give it a second look. You will see the truth. Luna pointed at her hooves. Fluttershy looked down at her hooves and noticed that the blood started to fade. Fluttershy gasped and looked up at Luna. A dream? Luna closed her eyes and slowly nodded twice. She looked back up at Fluttershy and opened her mouth to speak. When you start to think rational, Fluttershy, everything makes sense. What does that mean? You're not thinking rational, Luna said quickly. Fluttershy lowered her head and started making tiny circles in the dirt. Luna sighed. Fluttershy, you must think. Can a pony really cry blood? Fluttershy looked up at Luna and sheepishly smiled. No, she whispered. Would your friends really treat you so badly, to humiliate you, and allow those stallions to sexually harass you? Luna put her hoof on Fluttershy's shoulder. Fluttershy stood silent for a few moments, letting the words sink into her. She never thought about that question before, but once she started thinking about it, she started realizing the true answer to that question. No, she whispered. Luna took her hoof off of Fluttershy's shoulder. Fluttershy stood up. No, she said a bit louder. Luna smiled and stood up on all fours. Then it's time, Fluttershy. Fluttershy's face started to turn into the facial expression of confusion. Time for what? Fluttershy stuttered. It's time to face your pain, Fluttershy. Where do I start? By waking up and going home. Your friends will wait for your arrival. How do you know? Luna winked at Fluttershy. Just a feeling. Ponyville. Fluttershy's cottage. Rainbow Dash was sitting next to the door with her ears drooping down and a sad look on her face. She sat there, staring at the doorknob, hoping for the handle to be turned. Twilight and Pinkie Pie were sitting on the couch with frowns on their faces. Applejack and Rarity were sitting on the floor, a few feet away from Rainbow Dash. Their faces had the expression of worry for their friend Rainbow Dash. She hasn't moved at all, Rarity whispered to Applejack. You know how much Rainbow Dash cares about Fluttershy, especially with that there crush she has on her, Applejack whispered. What in Celestia's name are you two talking about? Twilight asked in a whispered tone. Pinkie Pie poked her left foreleg to get Twilight's attention. Dashie has a crush on Fluttershy, but she never really had enough courage to tell her, because she was, believe it or not, too scared to tell. Pinkie Pie whispered. Rainbow Dash? A facial expression of shock quickly spread across Twilight's face. She looked over at Rainbow Dash and back at Pinkie Pie. All of a sudden, footsteps were being heard from outside the door. Rainbow Dash's head perked up, and the door handle slowly turned. The door opened, and there was Fluttershy in the doorway. A bandage was covering her nose, and a small smile was plastered on her face. Rainbow Dash quickly embraced Fluttershy into a big bear hug. Fluttershy was caught surprised, but she quickly reacted by wrapping her hooves around Rainbow Dash. Why did you run away, Shy? Dash asked. Fluttershy laid her head on Rainbow Dash's shoulder. A tear escaped her eye and streamed down her left cheek. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was afraid, Fluttershy replied. Of what? Dash said with worry and a sob mixed together. Of being made fun of? You abandoning me? Being sexually harassed? I wasn't thinking clearly. It took a good friend to help me realize that. Fluttershy squeezed Rainbow Dash a bit tighter. There's something I have to tell you, or I'll never have enough courage to do it again. What is it? Fluttershy, I got a crush on you, Dash said quickly. Fluttershy's small smile turned into a big grin. Dash pulled her head back to be face to face with her. She quickly placed her lips on Fluttershy's. Fluttershy was caught off guard at first, but then she slowly kissed back. Their kiss broke and Rainbow Dash was smiling proudly. Can you promise me something, Shy? Dash asked. What is it? Never run away again. Not without talking to us first. Not without talking to me. Fluttershy looked around her living room to see all her friends smiling, reassuring her that she will always have somebody to turn to. Fluttershy looked back at Rainbow Dash. Of course. I pinky promise. Fluttershy brought her hoof up to her heart. Cross my heart. Hope to fly. Stick a cupcake in my eye. Fluttershy followed simultaneously with her words. The end. Written by Cameron, aka Marine Productions 100. No matter who you are, there will always be someone you can turn to whenever you're down. Alright. Okay, that was the end of I Cry Blood. If you enjoyed the story, leave a like, comment. Hell, if you want to subscribe, do it. It would make my day. And also make sure to check out our other channel, Marine Productions 100, where we post films, machinimas, vlogs, random crap. I got some random videos to be posting soon. Maybe. The reason why it took months to make another video is because of high school. A lot of drama happening in our circle of friends, and yeah, Google Links has not helped at all. So, if you want to read the story yourself, if I'm a horrible audio person, I will leave the website for you to check it out on, because I don't know how to put up links. And check out our other channel, just type in the author's name for this book, because it is my story. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and see you at the next episode of FIMFiction Readers.